and welcome back to my channel. I have a very special guest here today. This is Amber Naylor. She is a wonderful friend of mine. So today we are going to do a chit chat, get ready with us, giving you an intro into our lives and what we do on the daily, a little bit about real estate, a little bit about real life, and hope that you guys stick along and ride with us through this because we don't know where it's going to end up. So watch till the end to find out.
Really, my makeup routine is about 5 minutes in the morning. I have pretty Target brand makeup, nothing special.
Nothing wrong with that. Drugstore stepping it up.
Yeah, stepping it up. I have stepped up my game and have gotten a contour palette. So
I don't contour, so there's I will contour today though.
So this is super exciting for me. So I'm excited. So what made you kind of want to start getting into real estate in the first place?
Well, I've always been obsessed with houses, and I would say, that we would go into open houses, we would drive around the neighborhood, see what houses are for sale, I'd look up all the information, kind of all of that until my husband was finally like, can you stop dragging me to these open houses and just get your license? So I said, you are right, what am I doing? And I got my license in about, I think it took me about 3 months, but here we are 3 years later, 2.5 years later.
2.5 years later, yeah.
2.5 years later. And I mean, I thoroughly enjoy walking through houses. So
it kind of just started with a appreciation of what was, of the housing market,
and
really.
My husband being like, stop bothering me, go do it. And I did it.
Here we go, and here we are.
Yeah, and what about you?
I was a television producer before I was in real estate. So I was like behind the scenes and created the show and the content for it. And I realized that being in a dark room doing sad stories was not exactly where I wanted to be the rest of my life.
I'm too emotional for that. I'd be crying every day.
Well, and especially for it was just it was bad for no money too. So this company that I'm part of now found me, and I just fell in love with the bringing a home from dirt to studs to sheetrock to dry, ooh, those are pretty.
No, your mirror.
Oh, thanks. Oh, that too.
She's using the viewfinder as a mirror, so we're gonna
killing it.
we're gonna step up her game a little bit.
So I got onto new home construction, and I actually did both jobs for several months, just kind of trying to figure out what was best for me. And so that was a very long couple months. And yeah, just kind of haven't really looked back. Did general real estate, which is, there's kind of a difference between what Jess and I do. How we met was general real estate, so that's where you go to open houses, you list people's homes, you are a buyer's agent, which means they're looking for a home, you can even do apartments.
Yeah, it's like your typical real estate, it's your residential real estate. In new home sales, you don't necessarily have to have your real estate license if you work for a builder, but she does have her license, which is how she got into general real estate.
How has the last 2.5 years kind of changed your views of real estate? Because I kind of went into it thinking, oh, real estate, you go in, you work some hours, and you sell some houses, and it's just kind of like that almost easy career.
Let me tell you, I grew up obsessed with HGTV and all that stuff. That is all a bunch of bull. Mm-hmm. It is. None of that is real. Most of it is staged. Most of them already live in the house or have picked the house, or it's just, as awesome as those shows are, and as much as I still like to watch those shows, that's not real life. Real estate is extremely difficult, and I feel like people don't understand that. Like, you work before you ever see a paycheck. Sometimes you work all day, every day, for hours on end.
And never see a paycheck.
And you spend time, money, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
So for my entire career as a working adult, and I've been working since I was 17, I have been in the bar and restaurant industry. It's been hard, and so being in the restaurant and bar industry, if I don't go to work, I don't make money. Real estate's the same thing, except you work for hours and hours on end before you ever get anything. It's a lot tougher than I thought, and one of the unfortunate things is that real estate isn't like super easy to get into, but anyone can take the courses, and if someone passes, then they're licensed, and this is just an oversaturated market. When we first started 2.5 years ago, we had over 36,000 agents just in Houston alone, and now we're looking at over 40,000 in just a matter of 2 years. So it's a scary thing, and anyone can get into it. And so it's just, you're constantly fighting. And then you have those people who, like us, like me, have more than one job, and real estate's just like a side business. They're not really trying to do it. But for me, I would like real estate to be my number one source of income, and to fight with these people who just have, all kinds of connections. It's really tough.
So hard.
Yeah. And
I mean, of those 40,000 agents, only 5,000 of those agents, right? So you're talking a just minute percentage do more than 4 deals a year. And that is because they're just kind of, like Jess said, it's kind of their secondary source of income. And so when we're fighting against those, it's also hard because it's like, but I do this for this is my job, and I'm better at it because it is my full-time job. And here's the thing we hear all the time, kickbacks. So often it's, well, I'll give you, all of my commission towards closing costs, or I'll do all of this because it is their side gig and they already do have a financial source of income. So this is something where they have a little bit more, now kickbacks are illegal, by the way. If it's under the table, there are certain ways that real estate agents legally can give commission towards buyers, but at the end of the day, it's something that you see a lot more of, which is like the creation of Redfin and Open Door, where there are agents that aren't even existing. Like they literally send an appraiser out to your house and say, hey, we'll sell your home for X%, and now you're quote unquote saving money.
Oh, we'll list it for 1% when typically the percentage is 6%,
right.
3% to the buyer's agent, 3% to the listing agent. And so you have these companies that are doing it for 1%, 2%, 3%. And unfortunately, when you're doing it full time, you can't get you can't give a discounted rate. And people don't realize everything that comes with listing a home. You get signs and flyers and open houses, and you spend all of this time and money and effort into promoting, marketing, things like that. And people think, like, that's like you going to work and only making, or your boss only saying, like, hey, you know what? Today we're just going to today we're just going to pay you half. Or if you can come in tomorrow and work for free, that'd be great. It's like people want to ask for discounts and think that we make all of this money when that's not the case. Granted, you could if you get, a multi-million-dollar listing. But to be honest, the Houston real estate market, our luxury price is what, 600, 500, 600,000. That's where our luxury starts. So people that list these multi-million-dollar homes, they sit on the market for sometimes years before they're even bought, because we just don't have that luxury market. So when you see shows like Selling Sunset or $1 Million Listings LA, New York, it's not like that at all in real life. We're lucky to get a $5,000 check for 8 months of working. So it's like people think, oh, $5,000, it's so much money, but you're working for 6 to 8 months just to get that before even seeing a penny. And it's just like all of this back and forth. And for me, I work full time during the day as a real estate agent, and then I go to work at night as a bartender. And I used to work, I don't know, maybe 16 to 18 hours a day. I mean, with no sleep, and it's just, I have to have another source of income to funnel into my real estate to even make money. So it's back and forth. And with new home construction, it's different because she gets a paycheck to kind of help lead her to that sale, especially because for her, she doesn't, you go through a process of building a home for 6 to 9 months.
Yeah. So it's the same,
You're
just
waiting,
like her,
waiting,
that
waiting.
time frame difference. And there's this old adage of like, it takes money to make money, and real estate is the quintessential of that. Like, if you can't pay $300 a month for Zillow leads, or if you can't pay
on Zillow.
So if there are things that you can't do, you can't spend money on, it is almost, and I won't say impossible, there are people out there that have obviously been the exception,
for sure,
to the rule. But in the most case, you have to grind. And it is a hard grind for years. I mean, you talk to most successful agents, and it's 5 to 7 years of just grinding it out, of just constantly going and putting on open houses until people start to realize, oh, this is actually your thing. This is actually what you do. I can trust what you do. I posted on Facebook the other day about, we will buy Rihanna's makeup line, or we'll go buy a skincare system from Gwyneth Paltrow, but the second that some of our, girlfriends are starting up a business and you see that request on Facebook, you're like, oh, that's just a sham. She doesn't really know what she's doing. And it's like, I think more of us need to be more supportive of our friends, like people who are getting out there and starting. And I think our generation is kind of the first cusp of like social media, Kickstarters, entrepreneur, like almost everyone has some sort of quote unquote side gig at this point. And I think we need to be more supportive of those things because those are passions and those are things that, are very real to your friends. It's not just a fake thing. It's not just something they're putting on Facebook to make extra money. There's real things that people are doing to hopefully see this become reality. And real estate is one of those things that very much included. If you see a friend that's posting about an open house, be like, share it. Like, hey, go see my girlfriend. Show up. Go say hi. Bring some friends because you never know who may be looking on your own feed and who could end up being a source of, a referral down the road. It's just you never know with those types of things. Well, and I think also too, how many times do we have we had the conversation just about, we love the industry we're in. We love homes and real estate. And is there something else that we'd really like to do? And it kind of comes down to like, no, I really do like this industry. I really do like what I'm able to provide that service to people. I just wish we were taken a little bit more seriously. Yeah. And if you really want to get into it, you got to just stick with it. And like Amber said, you got to grind for years. Sometimes it takes longer than others. Like for myself, I'm not anywhere where I want to be because I have to focus sometimes on working at a bar instead of working in real estate. So when you're a real estate agent, you could do leases. Now you could lease apartments, which some apartments would be like, oh, we'll give you 200% of the rent. So say the rent is $1,400, they'll give you $2,800. The only problem with that is that the tenant has to live there for 60 days, 60 to 90 days. And then because it's been so long, they're just hoping that you forget. So often. So you are hounding these apartment complexes for your paycheck, and you get tossed around from person to person on the phone, and it's absolutely terrible. So when you're listing or when you're leasing someone's private residence, that's different. I prefer to lease residential and not apartments because I am not about to hound those people for my money. I mean, I take into example just places I've lived by myself because I can actually list myself as my own real estate agent. So, there are perks that come along with having your license, sure. I mean, and we don't want to turn anybody off to real estate. Obviously, we love it and it's fantastic. We're here for a reason, guys. Yeah, but we want to make it realistic because I think there is this glorified view of what real estate looks like because of Shaws of Sunset or, New York $1 million listing and all of these things. Like those $1 million listings have $1 million real estate agents who have spent millions of dollars to get where they're at. Absolutely. And it's just, I think we want to bring a little bit more of like that normalcy, realistic point of view that it's not all cameras and lights and action, and it is so much fun to be able to see, take someone to closing and hand them their keys to one of the biggest financial purchases you will make in your life. Owning a home is one of the best opportunities for financial gain that you can have in your life. The opportunity is endless when it comes to what's available around town. I think it's also important to find your niche. Yeah, for sure. Find who you work well with. Find a price point that you work well with. It's hard as a newer agent to do that though because you're like kind of just grasping at straws at where can I get these leads. I'll be honest, I couldn't hack general real estate. Like what Jess does, and it's incredible because she does work so flipping hard. At just the day-to-day grind. Right, and I'm very blessed because in new home construction, I do have a model home where people are going to walk in. Now, are all of those people qualified? Absolutely not. It's a whole other story. A whole other ball game we can get into later, but it's still, I am on the other side of the spectrum where I do have opportunities coming to me. Yeah, so people walk into the model home, but for me, I have to either walk up to people and say, hey, come into my open house, or
it's completely different. Like for me, I've got to go out and find the buyers, or I have to go out and reach these people and say, hey, do you know anyone buying or selling? Are you interested in buying or selling? Are you interested in listing, leasing, whatever? So for me, it's a real struggle. I don't know how many times I have had somebody call me, say they want information on a property. I schedule a showing. I wait for I'm waiting to meet them at this house, and then I get stood up. I don't even have enough fingers and toes to count the amount of times I have been stood up. I would wait at a house for 30 to 45 minutes for this person to ghost me, and then never answer my phone call, never answer my text messages, never answer my emails. And it's like they wonder why we solicit and we call. It's because you don't like your time being wasted. So I don't like my time being wasted, especially because it's time that I'm not getting paid for. And what do people say? Time is money. Yeah. So it's super unfortunate. And for her, if they walk in, they're already seeing the model home or floor plans or things like that and price points. But for me, I go and wait at this house and they never show up. And it's just like, well, there goes another one that just thinks I just like to sit at these places by myself. So it's
such a loner.
Yeah. Let me tell you, I love to walk houses by myself, just not when other people ask me to be there and then aren't there. Anyway, let's talk about something positive in real estate. We are getting there. I think for me, I just love the fact that like as soon as something new comes on the market, no matter what price point it's in, no matter she said find your niche. I love the Montrose Hyde Park area. I love Inside the Loop. I love the city. And the city of Houston is so different because you can go to where you're like in the heart of the city with bars and restaurants that are walkable, or you can find like little suburbia in the middle of the city. And Montrose is one of those locations where it's like you have the neighborhood feel, you have the schools around here, you have the parks and the restaurants, and then you go 5 minutes away and you're in downtown or in the Heights or by bars and clubs and things like that. So I love that. And I love that you can see just in this neighborhood alone, you have new construction, you have remodeled old bungalows, you have mansions. It's literally just so different. And Houston, we're one of the few cities that has no zoning. So you can have a school next to a restaurant, next to a strip club if you wanted to. Technically, yeah. So there's no zoning. So you can have these houses that are turned into local businesses like yoga places or hair salons. And it's really, really cool to kind of get that vibe. But that's probably the coolest thing for me is just being able to say, you know what, that looks like a nice house. I'm going to go preview it. And you have the ability as an agent to just kind of go in and preview all the homes in the area so you know your inventory. And that to me is just awesome. I love that. And it's why I started real estate, because I'm just a creeper who likes to walk into houses. I just want to be able to knock on someone's door and be like, you know what, I'm an agent. I just want to see the house. I love your architecture. I love the outside. Let me into your house.
We literally walked to breakfast this morning, and we went by a couple of homes that are these stunning, just masterpieces for a modern home. And we were like, we joked, knock knock, can I please just come see this beautiful masterpiece that you have built on this property? And I think we both have that appreciation.
Real estate is another form of art.
Yeah, it can be. And Houston's, you can go around almost anywhere and you can see houses, beautiful houses next to a broken house. That will probably ultimately get demolished. Yeah, that'll get demolished at one point and built over. And it's Houston is such a diverse. We have so many different industries in Houston, which I think also play into the type of homes that we have here. You have oil, you have gas, you have energy, technology, medical is big here. So I think you end up having so many opportunities in different pockets of the city. I'm in suburbia, so I'm in Southeast Houston, and the houses out there are very water and recreational. A lot of my homeowners own boats, keep them on the docks. Galveston's 25 minutes away from me, so they like that ability to go down there. So I became an expert on my location, and when you become an expert, it allows you to speak from a place of intelligence that I think a lot of those times when you gain that confidence, how you start to talk about confidence and how we can do videos like this because we know our stuff, and so
you can say shit on my channel.
We know our shit, ladies and gentlemen, but we do. And I think we've worked really hard over the last several years at becoming the women that we are in real estate. And I think it comes down to just making people aware of how much of an expert we are.
Yeah, you definitely have to have confidence because you get told no over and over and over again. You get ghosted, you get people ignoring you, people telling you off, all kinds of things. So take it with a grain of salt. He said no, on to the next one.
We have the ability in real estate to have a bit of a flexible schedule, but it doesn't mean that flexible schedule is not jam-packed with showings on one side of the city to the other side of the city. And when you do find that niche, it's great because eventually, hopefully, you can stay in that one little spot. But that's why when people stand you up, like you talked about, it ends up like throwing off the whole rest of your schedule. So even though, yes, it's quote unquote flexible, it is grind from sun up until sundown. And a lot of the times, even when you're laying in bed and you're on your laptop and you're looking on the MLS, like, okay, what does my client need to see tomorrow? And it all goes into, yes, flexible, but very busy, right? Would you say that?
Yeah, so that means on any given day, say a client's like, I want to see a house tonight, or I want to see 2 houses tonight. Can you do that? Can you do tomorrow? Our schedules are flexible, but the second a client needs something, we have got to be able to give that client what they need because they're our client. They need to be taken care of. They need to be shown that, they're our priority. Yep. And it can be tough. I have a client right now who I'm doing a lease for, and her radius is 30 miles. It is insane. There was one day I did showings for 7 hours.
Dang, girl.
7 hours in the car going all across. Would you be willing to drive around the city for 7 hours? Because it takes a special person to be able to do that.
Well, and to get, you're not getting paid until it closes.
Yep.
Again, I mean, all of our work is done on the expectation of being paid, which goes into when you ask for a discounted rate or for, hey, can you only do it for $500 or can you give me some money back? Or those types of conversations, they're hard to hear as a real estate agent because are you going to go to work and work for $8 an hour instead of $16? Our job is no less a job as yours. And so I think it's to be taken a little bit more seriously is kind of, I think, the hope with this video too is, okay, when you see a brand, a friend starting up a brand, or you see a friend that's a real estate agent and they're posting about open houses, like share the dang post. It doesn't take 2 seconds.
Just be supportive, I think, is the biggest thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Because people see me first and foremost as a bartender, and I want to be seen the other way around. And it's really hard to flip that switch in people's mind. Even my family and friends, don't see me as a real estate agent. They ask me how it's going and how it's doing, but they don't support it. And I think that's the biggest thing for me. And so I feel like this day and age, we get a lot of people in our generation that are willing to take that step to put themselves out there, which is, again, why we're here. I mean, I started this YouTube channel because I have a giant collection of makeup, and I was like, you know what? I see everyone else doing it. I'm going to hop on board. Whether it goes somewhere or not is fine with me. Yeah. I'm doing this because I love it, and I get to share my love of makeup and to talk to people about it. Right now, I think I have 11 subscribers, and I know them all, but I'm hoping to grow that into something else. It's just same thing with real estate. You have to want to get yourself out there. You're going to get run down 100 times over.
Yeah, 100%.
And it's just the fact of getting up. So the point of this video is just kind of open up about the real life of real estate. Now, this video isn't going to be about real estate every time. This is just something that I want to start with her to bring her on board and to have, my channel is called Jessica's Lifestyle. It's literally lifestyle. It's what we do every day. It's what we do for work, what we do for fun, literally our lives. And so this video is just an intro to that, and real estate is such a huge part of our lives that it's the first video we wanted to talk about, and the ins and outs and all the ups and the downs and things like that. And so this video is just a way to kind of open people's eyes and be like, wow, real estate's one of those tough things.
It's a grind.
Yeah, it's not like what you see on TV, and as much as I wish it was.
So do you have a creepy story? Yeah?
Creepy
Everybody's got to have a creepy story. I mean, if you're in real estate, there's bound to be something that's happened, even if you're a new real estate agent, that you're going to experience. Do you have one?
So Better Homes and Gardens has a real estate company called Gary Green Real Estate. We meant working for that company. So while working there, you have to do what's called property desk, which is where you sit in the office for X amount of time, and any call that comes in, you get the lead. And so I got a lead from a lease that was outside of the city. So I go and I meet them. Obviously, you know, you want to tell someone where you're going. So I tell my husband, I tell the office, and I tell the listing agent, who's out of my office. So I go there, I show up. He's a larger, heavy-set male. I show him the house, and he thinks that the room dimensions are wrong. He's starting to get aggravated, starting to get frustrated. You always want to try and diffuse the situation by saying, no, I understand, you know, we'll figure it out. So I'm in the process of doing this, and I got super uncomfortable. He was getting more and more, not necessarily aggressive, I guess more abrasive. He was just being very forceful and saying, no, this isn't the way it's supposed to be. He was taking out his anger on me. You know, even though I'm not the listing agent, they don't really think that. They think that whoever picks up the phone is the agent, whatever. So it was one of those awkward situations where it's just like, first of all, it's an hour outside of the city. It's an hour from where I live. I don't know the area. I don't know anyone in the area. And it was just, I felt out of my element. I didn't know where to go. It was a neighborhood. And, you know, the neighborhoods here, you take 3 turns and you're out on a main street. There, a neighborhood is miles. And it's one of those things where one neighborhood leads into another, and it's all one giant neighborhood. And so I felt super uncomfortable. I just wanted to get out of there, and I didn't want to upset him even more by saying, look, I really have to go. I found myself in such a scary, awkward situation, and of course nothing ever came of it, but I'm a young female, and he was an older, heavy-set male, and it's just one of those things where you could easily be overpowered. It's one of those things where, like, you really have to make smart decisions. You have to know what to say. You have to know how to diffuse a situation, and it was just not a fun story. And thank God that my 2.5 years, that's the one time that's happened. Yeah. So for you, what is your story?
Well, me particularly, because I work in a model home, I get a lot of like, oh, I'm just looking people.
Oh, love this.
Yeah, you could probably get the same in open houses. Well,
I used to be one of them.
Yeah, just looking. So when I was headed in, I think I was freshly new to the community that I'm currently in. So I was still kind of learning the area, still kind of, you know, figuring it all out. And I had a really skinny, frail, dress kind of frumpy type of woman come in, and couldn't have been more than about, 105 pounds soaking wet. I mean, she was tiny.
Yeah.
But she was very kind of just all over the place, and would ask me to go get some information and then pop up like right behind me. It was
how weird.
Almost kind of where you're like,
what are you trying to get at?
What ulterior motive is there? Were you trying to steal something? I work in a luxury model home, so my price point's about $600,000, which is kind of where our starts. We talked about that earlier. So I often get people who really do just want to come in and look at the house because it's a pretty house. That's fine. But this woman, it almost seemed like she was trying to get my attention off of either somebody else being in the home or whatever. So I really ended up saying, oh, I do have to leave. And I ended up locking the door behind me and walking across the street to my other model that we have right there. And so, yeah, it was one of those situations where it felt kind of, awkward and weird. It was one of those vibes, I think, as, when you're a people person and you work in this industry long enough, you really kind of get a vibe. You have to trust your gut a lot. And those were one of those gut times where I was like, okay, I need to make sure that I'm not alone in this house with somebody that I don't feel comfortable with. And unfortunately, it's not the only time something like that's happened. Model homes, I get a lot of weirdos, I guess is the best way to put it.
Yeah.
You have to be cognizant of kind of what's going on and making sure that you yourself are safe. You hear more stories of women, but men too end up getting in some pretty frightful situations. I've had a couple of guy friends that have been accosted by other men,
or groups of people
trying to steal things that are in a house because it's staged. So it's just one of those, just make sure that if you're in an industry that is giving strangers opportunities and easy access to you as a person, to just make sure you have, obviously we live in Texas, so if you have your concealed, it is something that, I have a lot of agents that I know that constantly have their gun on them.
Being in real estate, I don't have a self-defense. I don't know any sort of martial arts or any sort of like Krav Maga type things. So for me, it was a sense of security, and my husband really pushed me towards it and was like, you may not like it, but if you're ever in a situation, he's like, I'd rather have you feel somewhat secure than not at all. Yeah. And so, like Amber said, we're alone 98% of the time.
Yeah.
So, and we're with people we don't know. So I got a concealed handgun license, and I went to the shooting range. Now, don't get me wrong, I am still terrified. If I ever had to use it, I feel like I would like point it, drop it, and run. So not that it actually be any actual use, but it's just something to give you that sense of security.
Blanket. Yeah, it ends up being a blanket.
And it's not. It's one of those things in Texas, like your agency that you work for, or if you work for yourself, like the Texas Real Estate Commission, not Texas Real Estate Commission, but the Texas Association of Realtors. It's one of those gray areas where they tell you to protect yourself and things like that, but they don't
explicitly say it's okay to have a gun.
Right, because it's not. I mean, if you have your concealed handgun license, and you can open carry in Texas as long as it's visual, you can open carry. Now, restaurants, bars, things like that, stores
have their own stipulations.
Right.
Like that.
So you always see that law that says don't bring a gun on premises. Makes sense, but you can walk the streets. As long as it's visible, it's legal. And so it's one of those things that's that gray area where they can't say, no, you can't carry a gun, and they say, yes, you can carry a gun. If you have a concealed handgun license and you have it in your car and you have that license, that's your protection. And I felt like I needed that.
Yeah.
And so, especially because Houston is so large and my area of expertise is so small in the city, that when you do get those driving to, outside the city, and you don't know where you're going, what you're doing, who you're going to meet, it's just one of those things where it's like, I felt like I needed that. Yeah. And so it's obviously a gray area, but
it is, absolutely.
It's a sense of security, and
obviously we work with the 98% of the population that isn't like that.
Right. I mean, to me, that's only happened once. I mean, you're at an open house, that happens more often to you, but you're a lot more accessible.
Yeah.
Accessible, but...
Yeah. Well, this is my finished look, so what do we think? Did I do good?
I think she did pretty all right for
not doing makeup. I think my 17-year-old sister would be very proud.
She would. Her sister is bomb at makeup. I mean,
makeup.
Insane,
she can do,
crazy looks.
Designs on her eyes. It's incredible. I grew up, my high school was like awkward, essentially. I barely knew how to use makeup. I had braces at some point. I was really lanky and weird looking, so didn't even start playing with makeup until I think I was in college. And so that's kind of where my makeup has gone, very basic, because this has been an hour, 30, 45 minutes. And so this type of time frame is just like impossible for me.
And I typically don't wear this much makeup on a daily. I think in one of my other videos I said I typically use a tinted SPF.
Yeah.
And I don't even put mascara on because I wear glasses every day. But makeup is my time to play and be creative. And not saying that I'm super creative, because I don't do cut creases or halo eyes or what. Don't even know how to do those. It's just fun to play in.
No, this has been so fun.
Yeah.
I think our goal is probably to do this with a new topic
every week. Yeah, I'm not even done with my looks. Let me get hopping on that. You know what? I'm going to keep it easy. I'm going to use mine. If only you guys could see all of the crap I have.
She has a lot of makeup. You see my makeup? It's literally a bag. Say hi to Target.
Hey, that drugstore. Shoot, my foundation is drugstore as well. But anyway, let me finish my lips, and we will get back to ya.
This actually works out great because I have a date tonight. I didn't even think about that. To leave my makeup, I have a date tonight. So we'll definitely have a chit chat and get ready with us. This one has no idea what dating is like in this universe.
Y'all, I have been with my husband for 10
years.
Well, 9, but close enough.
Yeah. I mean, and it has been a completely different shift. I was talking to a friend actually yesterday about that, where they were in a long-term relationship and used to dog on dating apps really hard until you're on the other side and you realize that that's almost the only way to meet somebody these days. So we'll definitely have, maybe that'll be our conversation next week, is kind of how you feel about dating apps and stuff like that.
Because y'all, we don't know what we're doing here. This is our first time trying this, so
Hope you enjoyed
bear
it.
with us and come along for this journey, because it's going to be a fun one.
It's going to be great.
Because we don't know where this is going.
No, not at all. No.
So that's the whole point, right? We're bringing you into our lives. So I hope you guys stick around.
Yes.
If you haven't subscribed already, please do. There's like that giant subscribe button. Then there's the notification squad somewhere down there. Click that so you can get notified every time I post a video. I would love to post regularly, but let's be honest, if you know me, which all of the 11 subscribers do, you know my life is kind of hectic. So
we'll work on it.
Yeah, a video comes when it comes.
Sure.
So it's like Christmas.
It's a surprise.
In Texas, it could be hot or cold. Same here.
Geez.
We don't know what we're doing.
Yeah, pretty much. This was so fun.
Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed our chit chat. Get ready with us. And her look next week's gonna be crazy. She just doesn't know it yet.
I'm excited.
I'll have a lot more of my makeup here, so
And maybe I'll do something fun with my eyes.
Yeah, do some color, some shimmer in there.
Or something.
Yeah. And this was my finished look. There you have it. But thank you guys so much for sticking around. See y'all next week.